The N-word. Many people are afraid of it. The utterance of the word causes some to panic or even get angry. Wars have been fought over the N-word and thousands, if not millions, have been killed because of it. Of course, I'm talking about nuclear, be that energy or weapons. In this video, I'm going to lay out the reasons why I believe I should be allowed to develop or even be gifted a nuclear weapon as a resident of the UK. Firstly, the prospect of me owning a nuclear weapon means that my neighbourhood immediately becomes one of the safest and quietest in the area. Normal criminals have to consider police response times and camera security. Those in my neighbourhood have to have a physics degree and calculate blast winds and special risk assessments of nuclear fallout. So as you can imagine, crime is drastically reduced. But that's not all. Even in civil cases, the nuclear weapon comes in handy. Imagine this: your neighbour is a up-and-coming rapper and is playing his shitty music at 2 AM. Your options without a nuclear weapon include 1. Politely ask him to stop. He won't. 2. Call the council. They don't care. 3. File a noise complaint. Takes months to set up. However, with a very small, tasteful nuclear strike, you can get ahead of all that headache and, in the process, bring peace and security back to your neighbourhood. Honestly, the fact that you aren't currently pursuing a nuclear weapon now just shows how careless of a neighbour you currently are. The second reason why I believe that I should be allowed to have a nuclear weapon is that it can be used to help stop... Oh man. You can tell I was pretty tired when I wrote this part of the script. Now, that's a very charged statement, but let me explain. I have a thing called a job, and with that job I make money. The government sees this, and because of a thing called society and the social contract, I'm forced to pay taxes on that income. If, however, I decide that I want to keep the money that I work hard for, the government will fine and charge me with tax evasion. If I continue to refuse to pay my taxes, the taxman will send the police to arrest me, and I will most likely be prosecuted and sentenced to a lengthy jail visit. And what happens to a sensitive young man such as myself in jail? That's right, they will try to, If you think about it, that just means that the government is raping me, but it's done via proxy. It would be a lot more honest if they just cut out the middleman, but that's just me being pragmatic. Now, how does a nuclear weapon solve this? Well, if I were to possess a nuclear weapon, not saying that I do of course, and if I were to put a dead man switch in an area that, if subject to assault, would detonate the bomb, the government would probably think twice about trying to outsource my raping. I call it the Backdoor Deterrent. Now, the government realizing that billions of pounds in damage and nuclear fallout would be more costly than just my measly income tax, would make them reconsider trying to prosecute me. And the best part about this is that I'm not a greedy man. I believe that everyone should have a nuclear deterrent, just as I would. This scenario would also make it so that everyone would also be a lot more polite to each other, given nuclear holocaust is only a single muscle contraction away. The third reason why I believe I should have a nuclear weapon is that it will be beneficial for future generations. Some people that oppose me having a nuclear weapon might say, "Oh, but think of the children and it's illegal to own a nuke." And to that I say, appeal to emotion and appeal to authority. Those shitty logical fallacies won't work on me. Me having a nuclear weapon is me thinking of the children. Imagine my future child goes to school and someone thinks about bullying them. The threat of nuclear hellfire would quickly dispel any such stupid ideas. But not only in the realm of safety is my nuclear warhead useful, but also in the realm of education. Imagine there's a science fair. Your shitty little kids will come in with a baking soda and vinegar volcano, while my son will be building a miniature guidance system to allow us intercontinental capabilities. Your son will be making a shitty little copper wire and magnet generator, while my son will be designing and building nuclear enrichment facilities. Not only that, but when it comes time to actually look for employment, a recruiter might think twice about rejecting an application if it has nuclear strike capable on it. It's also great in debate club. You would be surprised at how convincing your arguments can become when they're backed by nuclear threats. Yes, Mr. Stick, you are correct. My argument does fall under the don't have a nuclear weapon fallacy. How silly of me. I concede the point and agree with your position as the correct one. A true equalizer for the people. The fourth reason why I believe that I should have a nuclear weapon is that I'm not the government. Now, some losers will tell me that because of this I can't have one because I wasn't elected and that's too much power for one citizen. And to those people I say, first of all, me not being the government is a good thing actually. When was the last time you thought, oh man, the government did a great job doing XYZ, or the government has my best interests at heart and they always carry out their campaign promises? Never. There's not been a single person on earth who has had those thoughts. With me, it's different. I promise that when I get a nuclear weapon, I will use it in my interests alone and will 100% be as tyrannical as possible with it. Basically, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing as the government, but just without the lies. Secondly, democracy has always been fake and stupid. Two-party systems that rally government power back and forth, undoing what the other idiots have spent half a decade implementing, and siphoning as much money as they can from the middle class in the process. None of that here. Here, we're just interested in obtaining nuclear weapons and threatening to use them at any given opportunity. People often say the purpose of a system is what it does. The government say they're here to help, but for some reason, you always end up with their boot on your neck. With me, it's boot on the neck from the get-go. I won't be pissing down your back and telling you it's raining. The fifth reason why I believe I should have a nuclear weapon is that the amount of change for the better that I can create with just one singular nuclear bomb is incredible. I could change the face of geopolitics forever. Every other week on the news you would hear about rising tensions in diplomatic talks between me and some tiny little shithole country. Nepal, I'm looking at you. You are target numero uno. I could racketeer billions of dollars from countries that would have to pay for protection from my nuclear arsenal. Blood diamonds in Sierra Leone? Not on my watch. I wouldn't be stopping it or anything, I would just be taking over. Get your very reasonably priced stoic diamonds. And then I'd flood the market to make them all worthless. But that's just threats. I could do so much if I actually fired a single nuclear weapon. There are like 5 targets that I could choose. I could end pollution in the oceans, destroy half of Twitter's daily active users, and bring down scam calls by 90%. And that's just one target. If I'm being really innovative, I could even create a nuclear strike as a service company, which would easily be a tech unicorn. Imagine all the shareholder value that you could create with a nuclear bomb. I'm surprised that the big tech companies haven't worked their way into this space yet. But I guess that's what Palantir is currently working on. The sixth reason why I believe that I should have a nuclear weapon is that with one, I could run the greatest and most successful political party ever seen. I could solve literally every problem that anyone has ever had. Housing market is way too high? Well, we'll see about that when Zillow has to start listing the local fallout radius on their home listings. Energy costs have gone through the roof in the past few years. Nuclear energy, the cleanest and most cost-efficient source of energy, is within reach. This part isn't even satire. The fact that nuclear energy is not nearly as used as it should be is just a catastrophic failure of governance. Skyrocketing crime and disorder across the nation. We will capture violent criminals and force them to work in radiated workplaces. And with the increased exposure, who knows, they may even grow a third arm and become more efficient at their jobs. My political party will also make littering punishable by death in all instances. I am 100% pro-death penalty to anyone who chooses to litter. We will also be extending the same courtesy to people who refuse to take their shopping trolley back to the return. Some people may disagree with these policies, citing them as inhumane or not proportional to the crime. And to those people we say, how are you going to stop me? You and what nuclear weapon? The seventh reason why I believe that I should have a nuclear weapon is that I would be far more responsible than anyone else with a nuclear weapon. There have only been 2 nuclear bombs ever dropped on civilians in history, and both of them were by the United States military. Yet, they continue to own hundreds, if not thousands of nuclear weapons spread across their military bases and launch sites. I, however, have fired 0 nuclear weapons on civilian populations. So, if we're going to go by that track record, I am more responsible than the United States military when it comes to nuclear armaments. There's also precedent that a single man having nuclear weapons is not world-ending. Take a look at North Korea. Kim Jong-un has had nuclear weapons for years, and yet he has not caused World War III or the nuclear death of the planet. Shit, just look at this image of him watching a nuclear test. Absolutely ridiculous levels of swagger. Cigarette in hand, looking straight into the mushroom cloud. The amount of aura forming from just this one image alone makes me believe that every citizen should be allowed to own a nuclear weapon, just for the purposes of this level of aura forming. My final reason that I believe that I should have a nuclear weapon is that, after all is said and done, and I use the nuke on a country, I could go on a massive redemption tour and try to regain sympathy by talking about what I've learned and why I believe that owning nuclear weapons is now bad, after I've already used them. I could even write a book about it called When the Nuclear Dust Settles, or something stupid like that, and bribe my way into being a New York Times #1 best-selling author, like every other idiot who writes a book. We could really milk this shit for all it's worth. I'm currently in talk with publishers and ghostwriters who I have sent drafts to get this whole process started. And isn't that what it's all about in the end? Shareholder value, I mean. Just think about all the shareholder value. This entire idea is radiating concentrated levels of shareholder value. The shareholder value is ionizing your skin cells. Shareholder value. But anyway, that's all the reasons why I believe that I should have a nuclear weapon. If you liked the video, consider liking and subscribing, but other than that, thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye.